The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists, each drop a reminder of how fragile everything had become. Marcus Reed gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles white against the worn leather, as he navigated the flooded streets of downtown Charlotte. In the backseat, his daughter Emma hummed softly to herself, oblivious to the storm raging both outside and within her father's chest. Tomorrow would decide everything. Tomorrow, a judge would determine if he was fit to keep custody of the only light left in his darkening world. Marcus had never imagined his life would come to this. 3 years ago, he'd been a different man, a husband, a homeowner, someone with a retirement plan and weekend barbecues. Then Sarah left, claiming she needed to find herself in Colorado with a yoga instructor named River. 6 months after that, Marcus lost his job when the manufacturing plant closed. The dominoes kept falling: the house, the savings, his dignity. Everything except Emma. She was 7 now, with her mother's auburn hair and his stubborn chin, and she was all that mattered. "Daddy, look, that lady's car is smoking," Emma said, pressing her face against the rain-streaked window. Marcus squinted through the downpour. Sure enough, a silver sedan sat disabled on the shoulder, hood raised, steam billowing into the storm. A woman in a cream-colored suit stood beside it, her professional attire already soaked through, phone pressed desperately to her ear. Marcus checked his watch. They were already running late for the free dinner at St. Augustine's Church, the only meal they'd have tonight. His tank was nearly empty, and he had exactly $12 to his name until Friday's paycheck from his night shift at the warehouse. He should keep driving. He had his own problems. Tomorrow's custody hearing loomed like a guillotine, and his ex-wife's lawyer had made it abundantly clear that Marcus's financial instability made him an unsuitable parent. He couldn't afford any more complications. But then he saw Emma's face in the rearview mirror, her eyes wide with concern. "Daddy, we have to help her. She's all alone." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. When had he become the kind of man who drove past people in need? When had survival made him cold? He pulled over, hazard lights blinking weakly. "Stay in the car, sweetheart. Lock the doors." The rain soaked him instantly as he jogged toward the stranded vehicle. The woman turned, and even through the storm, Marcus could see the relief flood her features. She was maybe 50, with silver-streaked hair plastered to her face and mascara running down her cheeks. "Thank God," she breathed. "My phone's dead, and I've been out here for 20 minutes. I have somewhere I absolutely have to be." Marcus peered under the hood, though his knowledge of engines was limited. "Looks like your radiator hose burst. You're not going anywhere in this car tonight." The woman's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked less like the polished professional her suit suggested and more like someone drowning. "I'm supposed to be at a dinner. It's important, crucial, actually. I just moved here for this job, and I don't know anyone who could help." Marcus thought of his $12. He thought of tomorrow. He thought of Emma watching from the car, learning what kind of person her father was. "Where do you need to go?" "The Fairmont Hotel downtown. But I couldn't possibly ask you to. Get in. I'll drive you." "I can't impose like that. You probably have somewhere to be." Marcus managed a rueful smile. "Nothing that can't wait." It wasn't entirely a lie. The church served dinner until 8. The woman, she introduced herself as Elizabeth Warren, climbed into the passenger seat, apologizing profusely for dripping water everywhere. Emma immediately started chattering from the back, asking questions about Elizabeth's job, her favorite color, whether she liked princess movies. Elizabeth responded with genuine warmth, and Marcus noticed how she didn't talk down to his daughter the way some adults did. Traffic was nightmarish. What should have been a 15-minute drive stretched into 45. Marcus watched his gas gauge drop toward empty and tried not to calculate how many days he'd have to walk to work if they ran out. Elizabeth kept checking her phone, her anxiety palpable. "This is my first major event," she admitted. "I was appointed 6 weeks ago, and tonight I'm supposed to meet all the local attorneys and court officials. If I don't show up, it sends a terrible message about reliability and commitment." "Appointed to what?" Marcus asked, making a turn. "Oh, I'm a judge. Family court, actually. I just relocated from Boston." Marcus's hands went numb on the steering wheel. Family court. The hearing tomorrow. The universe had a twisted sense of humor. He forced himself to keep breathing normally, to keep driving. What were the odds? Charlotte was a big city. Surely there were multiple family court judges. And anyway, it didn't matter. He was doing the right thing, regardless of who she was. They pulled up to the Fairmont with 10 minutes to spare. Elizabeth practically wilted with relief. I cannot thank you enough. You've saved me. Please, let me give you money for gas, for your time. No need, Marcus said firmly. Just help someone else when you get the chance. Elizabeth looked at him for a long moment, really looked at him, at his threadbare jacket, his daughter's worn shoes, the duct tape holding the passenger seat together. You're a good man, she said quietly. Your daughter is lucky to have you. Something in Marcus's throat tightened. I hope the people who matter see it that way. The next morning, Marcus stood in courtroom 4C, his stomach churning. His court-appointed lawyer, fresh out of law school and looking barely older than Emma, shuffled papers nervously. Across the aisle, Sarah sat with her expensive attorney, looking confident and put together in ways Marcus could never afford anymore. The bailiff called the court to order. All rise for the Honorable Judge Elizabeth Warren. Marcus's blood turned to ice. She entered in flowing black robes, her silver-streaked hair now perfectly styled, her bearing commanding. Her eyes swept the courtroom, and when they landed on Marcus, she froze for just a fraction of a second. Her expression revealed nothing, but he saw her fingers tighten briefly on her folder. The hearing proceeded like a nightmare. Sarah's lawyer painted Marcus as unstable, unreliable, living in a one-bedroom apartment that was unsuitable for a child. They brought up his job loss, his financial struggles, the fact that Emma had missed some after-school activities because Marcus's work schedule couldn't accommodate them. Each word felt like a nail in a coffin. When it was his turn, Marcus's lawyer tried valiantly, but the facts were the facts. Marcus was broke. He worked nights. He couldn't provide the material comforts Sarah could offer. On paper, he was losing, and everyone in the courtroom knew it. Then Judge Warren spoke. I'd like to address something before I make my ruling. Yesterday evening, I found myself stranded in the rain with a broken-down vehicle. I was desperate, alone in a new city, facing what I thought would be a professional disaster. A man stopped to help me, a man who clearly had his own troubles, his own obligations. He went far out of his way, used his own resources when he had very little to spare, all to help a stranger. Marcus's heart hammered. Sarah's lawyer sat forward, confused. That man was Mr. Reed. He didn't know who I was, and it wouldn't have mattered if he did. He helped me because it was the right thing to do, and his young daughter watched him do it. In that moment, I saw more about his character than any financial statement could tell me. I saw a man teaching his child compassion, sacrifice, and human decency, lessons that are worth more than any bank account. Judge Warren looked directly at Marcus. Parenting isn't about having a perfect life or unlimited resources. It's about showing up. It's about love, consistency, and the values we model for our children. Mr. Reed, your financial situation is noted, and this court expects you to work toward stability. However, based on everything presented here, including my own character assessment, I'm ruling that primary custody remains with you. Visitation arrangements with the mother will continue as previously established. Marcus couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Emma would stay with him. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell like thunder, like mercy, like grace. Outside the courthouse, Elizabeth found him sitting on the steps, Emma playing nearby, both of them crying and laughing at once. She sat beside him, no longer a judge but just a person. I needed to see that yesterday, she said softly. I needed to remember what kind of character I should be looking for in parents. Sometimes the system gets too focused on the wrong metrics. You reminded me what really matters. Marcus wiped his eyes. Thank you. For seeing me. For seeing what I'm trying to do. Thank you for stopping. For being the kind of father who teaches his daughter that we help people, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She smiled. That's the kind of parent every child deserves. As she walked away, Marcus pulled Emma close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, feeling the weight of the world lift just enough to let the light back in. Tomorrow would bring new struggles. Poverty didn't disappear with one court ruling. But tonight, they would go home together. Tonight, they had won something that couldn't be measured in dollars. Tonight, a moment of kindness had changed everything.